important aspect of it. And to now the chart, I'm coming to the rest of the chart of that. The rest of the chart says that terrorism, the money to finance terrorism will lead to corruption in society. Because if terrorists and drug lords were to move freely, they have to bribe customs authorities, police, other kinds of governmental agencies to be able to freely move around. So, and it may reach the politicians, of course, why name them everybody, bureaucrats as well, or even it even goes to the extent that the drug money reaches certain unhealthy persons in the judiciary as well, or for that matter the entire legal system is affected by that. And also it also leads to enormous amount of physical, mental and health issues which young children and other people who are addicted to this, in effect the drug trafficking eats into the vitals of the society, and it could completely destroy a society if drugs were not able to, if this menace is not being dealt with. So we are not just dealing with a certain section, we are dealing with corruption, we are dealing with terrorism, we are dealing with bribery, we are dealing with a whole lot of issues that come, health issues, education. All of this will be affected if we don't control this effectively. I thank you all for giving me this opportunity, and all of you must know that the United Nations Organization on Drugs and Crime is an organization which is making enormous efforts to see how it can be widespread and controlled in various parts of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Ms. Varsha C. Rokre, Secretary Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, to come on the dais.
She is the youngest Secretary of Bar Council in the world. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Dr. Adish C. Agarwala, the President of International Council of Jurists, the Chairman of the All India Bar Association, the ex-Vice Chairman of the Bar Council of India, the Convener of Indian Council of Jurists, and the all-in-all of today's function of such magnitude, the other persons of the dais, ladies and gentlemen. I believe the speaker prior to me has almost covered the entire gamut of points that are to be included in today's topic of drug trafficking. However, from my side, I'll make a small effort. I believe one of the menaces of today's society is the issue of drug trafficking by youth and adults. It is a situation where dangerous drugs like cocaine, heroin, Indian hemp, and a host of others are transported from one place to another in order to earn huge amount of money. Drug trafficking is caused by several factors, one of those most important factor being poverty. Many of those involved in it are the less privileged in the society who find it difficult to afford their basic needs. They are thus easily wooed by the power brokers as agents for the illicit business. In curtailing the increasing trends of drug trafficking around the world, past and present administrations have attempted several policies, and despite this, the growth rate is still alarming. This, however, may not be unconnected with low, improper and irregular sensitization of the hazards involved, parental negligence as well as poverty. In 2005, the National Survey on Drug Abuse and Health report of the United States government revealed that 800,000 adolescents between the ages of 12 and 17 sold and used drugs during their 12 months before the research. In addition, drug trafficking seems to be growing at a geometric rate despite the record of over $7 billion being spent annually towards the arrest and prosecution of drug traffickers across the globe. About 85% of high school youths still find drugs extremely easy to obtain, and therefore the menace. Collaborating this recently in newspaper report published in Punch on Friday, 30th January 2009, it was noted that the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency who revealed that most of those arrested in Nigeria were youths who prefer to be engaged as traffickers of anabolic steroids, cannabis, tobacco, India hemp, alcohol, cocaine, opium, heroin, morphine, etc., which would fetch them fast and big cash than anything else. That's what all matters. The drug trade can be said to generate billions of dollars as an organized crime each year, imposing calculable costs on individuals, families, communities, and government worldwide. Though the methods used in carrying out this nefarious act varies, while some swallow few kilograms, some are carefully wrapped and put in a dead child, etc. Lots of musicians, actors, actresses, sportsmen and women, even the so-called men of God, were not excluded in this cool business. These drugs, according to reports, were grown in wilderness, farms, indoors and outdoors, residential gardens, although the common characteristics binding this act is that they are discreet to avoid detection or doing it in an ordinary setting without notice. Drug trafficking and abuse ruin individual lives, drain billions of cash each year from government worldwide. It also erodes the nation's quality of life. It threatens the entire government and the stability of any nation. Also, the nation's national security is jeopardized. Medically, the impact and hazards of drug trafficking is far-ranging, from mental or physical destruction to damaged brain, molestation, assaults, even untimely death. Recently, the reported cases of some actors and actresses, musicians from Nigeria that were caught in Saudi Arabia and were thus killed, and those that swallowed the drug came in contact with the intestine, thus leading to ill health that almost cost their life or death and are still fresh in our memories. I would therefore advise that our society, agencies and security agencies, especially those at the local and international airports and the border posts, should be well equipped and trained with modern technological operations to detect the culprits of this dastard act. Also, parents and all stakeholders should join hands so as to ensure a safer and drug-free society if possible. I think that much we can do at our end. I thank you very much, and I thank for giving me this opportunity to share my views today on this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now call Mr. Neel Kamal Kaushal, Research Scholar, Maharishi Markandeeshwar Maulana College, Haryana.
Respected members of International Council of Jurists, Indian Council of Jurists, All India Bar Association and Senior Advocate Association, I would like to say something on rationalization of sentencing structure under the Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substances. Narcotic Drugs and Substances Act provide for deterrent punishment for offences relating to illicit trafficking in drugs and psychotropic substances. Although it provides deterrent punishment, but it also lays emphasis on reformative approach. The person, those who are related with drugs, can be categorized into 4 categories. The first are the persons who produce these drugs. Second are those who kingpins who procure from these people and deal with the trade of drugs. Third are those ones who are carriers, and fourth are the consumers. So we can't categorize them, deal with them in the same similar position. These have to tackle differently. For carriers, they can't be treated at par with producers or cultivators. For consumers, for them it is a disease. They have to be treated with love and compassion. So the problem of uniform sentencing policy has been engaging the attention of criminologists all over the world. And Jenkins in the work Growth of Crime has said that it is not like baking a cake. You cannot lay down in advance the exact ingredients, temperature required. In sentencing, court has to deal with infinite variety of offenders, offenses and situations. So other countries have taken steps in this regard. Like in USA, attempts have been made since 1957 to impart trainings to magistrate in matters relating to sentencing. In England, also Criminal Sentences Act 1997 provides that the seriousness of the offence is usually to be commensurate with the proportionate to the crime. It should be proportionate to the crime. So, judiciary has a vital role to play in offences relating to narcotics. It can be said that loan, education, or medical treatment, or can save the country from this menace. We have to tackle all these categories. We have to divide them into categories and provide them the treatment accordingly. That's what all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Kamal. Now, may I please call Mr. Pranay Agrawal, the research scholar.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the speakers before me have discussed much of the topic. I'll keep it short and simple and throw light on some aspects which I think have not been discussed really. Now, what are the main tools with the Indian state to deal with this act? The main is the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985. This act came about as a result of India's international commitments, which it had entered into in like many international covenants and treaties regarding drug abuse. Now, what this law does is that it empowers law enforcement agencies like the Customs, Central Excise, Crime Branch, Food Inspectors, Drug Inspectors with special powers. And it also establishes Narcotics Control Bureau as the nodal agency to deal with this menace. Now, these agencies have been empowered and provided special training to deal with the menace of drugs. Now, one interesting feature of this act is that the presumption which is underlying this act is that the onus of proving his innocence is on the person on whom the drugs are found. So if drugs are found on me, I mean, it's not up to the agencies to prove that they have been found on me. It's not like innocent until proven guilty. It's opposite. It's guilty until proven innocent. And you have to establish your own innocence. So that's one strong feature which is like, sounds very antithesis of otherwise the rule of law, but due to the seriousness of the issue, this is a feature of the law. And what is the net result of this law is that the conviction rate is much higher than what was before the enactment of this law. That is one feature of this law. Now, why is it that despite very serious and genuine efforts that this drug abuse and drug trafficking continues to be a very challenging menace for our society? There are various practical reasons, and I would like to share them with you. One is that drugs may be benign or they may be harmful. Harmful we've all discussed and we know. Now they may also be benign, like they're used in medicine, we all know. Some very common ones which are also misused are like Benadryl or Iodex. You know, you require them, they have beneficial medicinal effects, but if consumed in an incorrect manner, they can be harmful, and that's why they become a menace. Now, under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act of 1940, it requires that even for OTC prescriptions, under the Schedule H of this Act, you should have a doctor's prescription, even for OTC drugs. But these drugs, in regular practice, most chemists sell them without any prescriptions, and it is very difficult to monitor these chemists. So that's one practical aspect of it. Now, why is it difficult to tackle? One important aspect is that it is very glamorous. You know, it's cool to be having drugs. It's nice. A lot of rock stars, they glamorize such things. A lot of film stars in India now. It is also problematic to deal with. Not only is it glamorous and attractive to the youth, it is also a part of our cultural milieu.